What's going on, guys? My name is Dubla and I want to talk to you about this whole 5x3 situation that's going on, that's getting you gatekept out of clown. It's making you feel like you're not experiencing your class like you should be. You're not experiencing the power. It's really holding you back. The best solution for getting the most amount of power for the gold that you're spending is going to be this. You are going to go 4x3 plus 2. You also need to have one legendary engraving book. It can be a class engraving. It can be one of the other engravings like Grudge or Keen Blunt, Adrenaline, Ambush Master, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. As long as it's, of course, in your build, then you're good. And you will also need a 6/6 stone, which a 6/6 stone is super easy to get with relic stones. That way you don't have to put out a lot of Phaons to get it. So you should only need 2 to 3 stones maximum, unless you're just extremely unlucky. But 6/6 is super easy to come by, and that will be good enough. So I've used this strategy on 3 of my main alts. My Glavier is 1505 5x3 because I spent the gold early to get her pinnacle engraving, and I have my Grudge legendary engraving as well. I bought both of them early before they were so freaking expensive. Just like everything else, it's ridiculously expensive to try to go 5x3 now. So this is why I even wanted to make this video, because it needs to be done. You shouldn't be wasting all of your gold when you could be spinning it in other places to gain so much more power. My last tune that I have not done this with is my Demonic Impulse Shadow Hunter, this lonely gal down here. So let's kind of go over some of the prices, some of the power gains that you would likely see. And this is in a very specific example for her, but like my Sork, for example, it was a very similar as well, from going to 4x3 to 4x3 plus 2 and getting some gems alongside that, instead of going 5x3 and not being able to afford gems because the cost is insane. Same thing with my blade, 4x3 plus 2 on adrenaline, and I bought a ton of level 7 gems instead. So we'll just go ahead and go over some pure numbers here. So I've built this 4x3 plus 2 Shadow Hunter build. I actually looked up the prices about 30 minutes ago or so. So let's check this out real quick and look at the totals if we're gonna look at everything. So with a 6/6 stone, if we have a 12 Grudge, you could put 12 Keen Blunt, 12 Hitmaster, 12 Adrenaline, 12 Demonic. It doesn't matter. It just really depends if you already have a legendary book that will suffice for this. If you do not have one legendary book yet and you're still working on it, maybe you're working on it currently, that's great. Keep working on it. If you haven't even started getting a legendary book yet and you are in that 1460 to 1475 range and you're really wanting to play the in-game content, the end game content, then I would highly suggest you start working on one legendary book. I don't think that you have to buy Grudge or Keen Blunt. Those are the 2 most expensive ones. You could go for something like Hitmaster, which is somewhere in the 7,000 to 9,000 range per book right now, or you could go for something a little bit cheaper like Ambush Master if you're a back attack class, or even if like Precise Dagger is in your build, then you could do that. That's super cheap. Look for options that make sense to you and what you're trying to accomplish with your build, everything like that. For this purpose, you will need one legendary book. So I have my legendary book as Grudge, and as you can see, we have a 6/6 stone. We have 9 on Demonic, and that's just a purple book, super cheap to get. With a 6/6 stone, you will have to have a 4/3 accessory with, if you do it this way, you can do it with a class engraving. But when you have a 4/3, it's so much cheaper. It's insane. So this ring, for example, would have been 5K, and all of these are between 50 to 70 quality items. So they're not super high, you know, purple quality. They're not even, well, some of them were blue, but it's usually in that higher green quality. That way you're still getting a lot of combat stats, but you're not in the upper tier of, you know, insane class stats, okay? But that way it's the most affordable for the gold, and you can spend your money on other things, especially if you're a more casual player. So with that ring, it's 5,000. That's adrenaline demonic. That's typically going to be your most expensive accessory, is your class accessory, if it's a 3-5 or 5-3. With you having a 6-6 stone on your +2 engraving, try to get that stone 7 or 6 on that one. That way you can do this and you can only have a 4-3, or just like this says, if you have a 7-6 stone, for example, if you have a 7 adrenaline 6 hitmaster, then you could go 3-3, and you could just buy a legendary ring and have really high stats for super cheap. 1,000 would have been this ring cost for a legendary if it was 3-3, and it could be like a 90 to 100 quality, so super cheap. But this neck is going to be about 10K. This earring is going to be about 5K a piece. And again, these are for mid quality, like 50 to 70. So total, just in these, you're looking at about 20 to 26, 27,000, depending if you get a 7 on this stone, or if it's just a 6. 27,000, we'll say 30K if, you know, maybe you're wanting one of those accessories to be a little bit higher in quality, but this will give you mid to higher than mid-range stats. So 30K, we'll say. Now, if you look at this picture, I have all of these DPS cycles. So my starting 1 cycle of demonic, and I averaged this out of 5 runs a piece. My starting DPS cycle with level 5 gems was 2.25 million DPS. Now, after the 2 level 7 gems, along with these accessories at 4x3 plus 2, it was 2.7, which is a 20% increase with 70,000 gold. If we're looking at the 5x3 comparison, let's go ahead and jump into that. Your 5x3, and the cheapest way to do this, in my opinion, is still to have 1 legendary accessory if it's possible, but you will have to have better than a 6-6 stone. The accessories themselves aren't too expensive. It's about the same here. It's not too much different. You're looking at about 30K, 40K. It depends on where you're willing to take sacrifices for stats, or, you know, finagle some of these engravings a little bit so that maybe Keen Blunt isn't matched up with adrenaline like it is here. You know, you can finagle it a little bit, but, you know, it's within 10 or 15K difference, so not too much. The more expensive way to do it is definitely, if you have a 6-6 stone, then you're gonna have to have like a 3-5 accessory here with your class engraving. Well, I'll just kind of cut to the chase. After you have to buy, let's say for example, you buy your 2nd legendary book. If you were gonna buy a legendary book, let's say you're gonna do your class engraving here for 320K, you're gonna have that 320K gold. Now, let's say you bought adrenaline instead, which is about 8 to 10,000. That's about 200K. But guess what? Now you have to buy 3 class engraving accessories, which is going to be 5-3, and that's going to be 100K minimum. So you're buying 3 of those. So that's 300,000 right there, plus your 200K adrenaline book. That's 500K right there. Easy peasy, done. And that's with no gems, that's with nothing else at all. So you can see how it can be so expensive to get a 5x3 with 2 legendary books. And the total of that is 370,000 gold. That's a freaking joke. That is insane. And 5x3, no gems, 370K gold. You're looking at your DPS cycle, or my DPS cycle was 2.45 million DPS. That's an 8% increase from my 4x3, which is like, okay, that's great. You know, it's 8%, but for 370,000 gold, that's insane. So what you should instead do is 4x3 plus 2, and even with a level 9 damage gem and a level 7 cooldown gem that I put on the demonic skills, with the level 9 gem, went up to 2.9 million DPS. That is a 28% increase with 60% of the same, not even 60%. Someone do the math. I don't know. I'm not a quick mathematician, but 220K gold compared to 370K gold, it's not even close. When you're thinking about wanting to go 5x3 on your alts or your current main, whatever, doesn't matter. Think about this and really look into the math of it all and what you're actually going to get out of power increases. And this isn't even considering tripods that you could buy for your gear, which the tripod update is about to come out. So that's not even considering that. You could get so much more power. I didn't even touch the tripods with this example. So what my advice to you would be to go to 4x3 plus 2. Even on my Sork that doesn't use adrenaline, went 4x3 plus 2, and the plus 2 is Hitmaster. And the difference in damage from going to the plus 2 for Hitmaster, along with 1 level 8 gym and 4 level 7 gyms, compared to going 5x3 with no gyms at all, the damage increase was about 9% from doing that instead of going by 5x3. So that was over 5x3. And I have no trouble getting accepted into groups with 4x3 plus 2 with decent gem. I don't even have a good card set. I just have Lost Wind Cliff, so it's just crit rate. I don't even have a Light of Salvation set, so I don't even have that, but I still get into groups just fine. And when I was 4x3 on this Sork, it was like pulling teeth to try to get into a clown group. It was awful. And literally the day I switched it, I got accepted into a group, easy peasy, and I got a super nice damage increase out of it because of the gems plus the extra engraving. So not only are you going to be getting a ton of damage out of doing your engraving setup this way, and your gems upgraded as well, but you're also going to be looking way more attractive to all of the pug groups that you apply to. Like I said, I never have any problems getting into pug groups now that I'm not 4x3, and that's because there are so many 4x3s applying. But now that you're 4x3 plus 2, you are ahead of every 4x3 that is applying, plus you have good gems, which boom, now you're a really, really good option whenever you apply. And the only time you're not going to get accepted is if someone is literally just gatekeeping your class because they don't like your class, and for whatever weird reason they just don't like it, or maybe it doesn't sync up with the synergies that they're trying to go for example, like a Deathblade and a Gun Lancer. Really good synergies there. So maybe they're trying to put a group together like that, and your class just doesn't really mesh properly with the setup that they're trying to do, which is fine. That's okay. No big deal. Just go make your own party and you'll get more people in there. And also, that's another good point, is that more people will want to join your party when you make one because you're much more attractive on paper to join and be in a party with. So let me know what you think about this strategy down in the comments below. Are you gonna go 4x3 plus 2, save a ton of gold and get those sweet precious gems? Or are you gonna FOMO to 5x3 and spend 500,000 gold to get there because F it, who cares, and you're juiced? Let me know what you're gonna do. I will see you in the next video.